Men and women all over the globe are joining now for the best videos on the internet.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
And I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Click the subscribe button now to become a member of the Action Pack. Would you like to know more?
Hello everyone and welcome. Did you like the original Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver that came out in the 70s? Since the second movie in that original Alien series of movies, things have been a little shaky and kind of disappointing in some ways. But I think that we may have a revival on our hands here with the movie that we are talking about today. This is Mike's After Action Reviews. I'm Mike, and with me today is
Tommy Boy.
And this is the After Action Review for Alien Romulus. So guys, as always, we are going to start with the film's production. We have our guest. I have my notes to keep me on track, and you guys can't see it, but I have a clock actually over Tommy Boy's head on my monitor, so that way we can't, sometimes the reviews get long, and we're trying to basically do this portion of the review in 45 minutes, and then once I add in the intro and all of the little breaks for sponsorships, we get in at less than an hour, so bear with us as we do that. I hope that you guys enjoy a little bit of a more concise video. So, this movie has three production companies. 20th Century Studios, which is most well known for Deadpool from 2024, and then most recently did Kinds of Kindness, and then Scott Free Productions. And all of these, by the way, obviously their most recent movie, and some of them, the most famous movie is this movie. This is excluding this movie, okay? And all of this comes from IMDb, so if you have a problem with anything or disagree, take it up with them. Okay, and then we have Scott Free Productions, most well known for Alien, the original, from 1979, and then most recently did A Sacrifice in 2024. Brandywine Productions, again, most well known for Alien in 1979, and having most recently done Alien Covenant in 2017. So I like all of this. 20th Century Studios is actually owned by Disney now. So this movie is actually a Disney movie. Can you imagine that? Yeah, so I love all of this. I will say, as I said in the intro, the Alien series has had some shakiness. Did you like the Alien versus Predator movies? I liked the first one.
I liked the first one. Second one was all right as well. Yeah. Which one was the Requarium? I didn't care for that one.
That was the second one. That was the second one.
No, that was the second one. There's another one. You're missing one with oh crap. Nope, it wasn't the pyramid. Oh no, I'm thinking Predators. I'm thinking about the Predator movies. Yeah. No, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, the first one was about the only one I liked. The rest I didn't care for.
Yeah, so I liked. I liked those. I think 20th Century has done some really good stuff. I don't know so much of Brandywine. I liked the original Alien. I did not like Alien Covenant or Prometheus. Like, I did not like those movies really at all. Did you like them?
I liked them a little bit. They were pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, they weren't really my thing. We'll put it that way. So, yeah. Okay, so then moving on, though, to the writing. So this is written by Fede Alvarez, who, by the way, is the director as well. He's most well-known for, as a writer, he's most well-known for Don't Breathe in 2016. That's pretty good. It's about the blind guy. It's a horror movie. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022. We have Rodo Sayaguez most well known for the same ones, Don't Breathe, 2016, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Dan O'Bannon, most well known for Alien 1979, and then Alien vs. Predator Requiem from 2007. That movie came out in 2007. Man.
Yeah.
Now I feel old. But so I will tell you, Dan O'Bannon, he has a bunch of stuff that he's written for, like a bunch of writing credits on IMDb. Most of them are for characters he created, but not the actual movie. So like he didn't write for movie A, but movie A is about characters that he created. So it says his name on it, and it says characters created by him. But Alien he actually did write for, and then Alien vs. Predator Requiem he actually did write for. So
interesting.
Yeah. So I liked Don't Breathe. I liked Alien, and I liked. So Alien vs. Predator Requiem by today's standard would probably be average, almost above average. But for the time, it was like, maybe just like mid to low average, almost getting into below average, but it was whatever. Okay, so then the director here, that we only have one, which is always a good sign, Fede Alvarez. I believe that's how you say his name, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm saying that wrong.
Looks right.
Yep, so then he also directed Don't Breathe in 2016, and he most recently did The Girl in the Spider's Web from 2018, which is actually stars the lady from The Crown who plays Queen Elizabeth when she's young. Just a little bit of trivia there, which is interesting because if you know, this is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's the sequel. And I can't remember if it was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, then The Girl in the Spider's Web, and then The Girl who kicked the hornet's nest, and then The Girl who played with fire. I'm not sure of the exact order of the movies, but it's very like completely different from playing Queen Elizabeth in The Crown. That's for sure.
He also did the remake of Evil Dead. He did a pretty good job with that. I liked that one.
Yeah, and that one is more like, this movie is more like that movie, I would say, too.
Yeah.
Than his other works. Okay, so then the music was by Benjamin Wallfish, is how I believe you say his name. Most well known for Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, and I really loved that movie. And then also most recently did Twisters in 2024, which is nothing like this movie. I didn't see that one, but it's nothing like this movie. Okay, so I will say, as far as the music, so I liked the director. I didn't say much about the director. I like the director. Good. Okay. The music, I will say that once you hear Blade Runner 2049, it makes me think of how he has that ambient music. And this takes advantage of ambient music. And that was really that was really cool, especially in the opening scene, and we'll talk about that opening scene that I really liked. And it was very good. I thought the music, would I say that the music was like excellent? I mean, I don't know. When I think of excellent music, I think of the Lord of the Rings. I don't think it's quite there, but it was at least enough where I was like, man, this is the ambient music here really plays into the horror. So I would say, music was very good. Okay, so anything else you want to say about production before we move on to the plot?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, all right, so we're going to move on to the plot here, guys. Before we do that, please do note, guys, we have some sponsors. Supporting our sponsors, checking them out, supports us here at Mike's After Action Reviews. You will be supporting the pack, the Action Pack. You can also support us by Patreon, and you can go and become a member of the YouTube channel, and then we have the Twitch, so you can subscribe over on Twitch. But before we move on to plot, guys, please, support our sponsors and check out this message from our sponsor. The Action Pack needs you. You can support Mike's After Action Reviews on our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Every quarter, once we've made at least $200, we're going to be giving away 10% of our earnings from Patreon in a giveaway over on our Twitch, so go check that out as well. You can find all of the links for everything in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do your part. Support the pack, the Action Pack. All right, so moving on to the movie's plot. So the runtime of the film is 1 hour and 59 minutes, and I felt like it was longer than that. Not in a bad way, though. It just felt like we went on a greater adventure that took longer than I guess it did. So that's actually like a good thing, if that makes sense. Sometimes you feel like it was longer and that was a bad thing because you're bored. I felt like it was longer and it was not a bad thing, if that makes sense. Okay, so IMDb plot summary. There's only one, and it's quite short. While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict spaceship, a group of young space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. Now, yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a pretty good with that. If we're not going to get into spoilers, which we're not here, that's a pretty good plot summary. What are you thinking of the plot summary?
Yeah, it's right on the dot right there. Yeah.
and it kind of harkens back to the original movie, because in the original, that's my kids fighting in the background. Ignore them. No aliens here in my house, but eating my children or anything. But anyway, so the original was just about some like space truckers. They encounter an alien, and that's the whole movie. In the second movie, it got a little bit more complicated because there was the little girl and there was the colony. And okay, this is just like, hey, some people go to a spaceship and they encounter some terrifying stuff there. We'll say that. Okay, so I would say basically the big thing about the movie is that it basically goes from a group of friends trying to better themselves by going to, they go to this derelict ship, and there's some reasons that they're doing that. And from that to they're just trying to survive now. It's like when you see those movies where it's a vacation horror movie, and it's like they all go to this island and it's great and it's wonderful, and then it turns out that the island is inhabited by genetically altered dogs that are designed by the military to kill people, and so now they have to just, how are we going to survive this? The biggest thing, so there's basically two main characters, and that's the girl. So the main girl, we're going to get into her character. Her name is Rain, and her synth, and they basically are trying to get to a better planet. That's like the core of what the story is about. Some great world building. It gets into Weylan-Yutani. We've always known that the company was there, and we've always known that it kind of serves as a secondary government, which is not exactly like a capitalistic. So there's not like a capitalistic system. It's called cronyism, where the government uses its influence to control, or the company controls the government through influence and financial bribery and stuff, which is not capitalism. That's cronyism. But basically, the employees are basically slaves, which is a little bit different than what we saw in the original Alien movie, where I think they were like contractors with the company, so the company did not directly control them. But yeah, they're basically slaves. They can't leave the planet that they're working on. They're in a mining colony, so they can't leave the planet. They can't get out of their contract. The contract can be extended against their will. They don't have to sign anything. And that sucks, And then just letting you guys know, I kind of alluded to this, but basically we're following average everyday workers who are on this mining planet. What, you disagree with that?
Well, they're kids.
Well, right.
Because
they
their
are
parents
younger.
died. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like, the group is like miners and people who, it's not like military guys or anything like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's all just, workers.
Yeah, and another interesting thing that I will say is that the movie ties the original movies with Sigourney Weaver to Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and it actually does it really well. So I didn't like Prometheus with the black goo, and it's a bioweapon, and the all of that, the navigators and all that. An Alien, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, but this movie does it well and explains it in a little bit of a different way. Like there's kind of a connection that they make, and it kind of talks about some things in a little bit of a different way. So even if you didn't like those movies, which actually I know that Tommy Boy I know that you say that you like them, but there are quite a few people who didn't like those. I would say that even if you didn't like those, this movie includes some of that stuff and ties it in without doing it in a bad way that you wouldn't like. Like, you still might like the connection here. Because I did. So that's kind of my notes on the plot. I mean, anything you want to say about the plot? What are you thinking about the movie's plot?
No, like, you hit it pretty well. So, I like, so the the place that they start off on is the place from the second movie, the second Alien movie.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's like the prequel to the second one, really. So it's I like how they tied everything in on this.
Okay. I didn't realize that. It's like LV-247 or something.
Yeah.
Well, so then that means that is also. I mean, that's also the place from the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it all ties back in. That's cool. Sorry, I should have asked you to go first with the plot because otherwise I have like a lot of notes. Yeah. So I mean, I what did you think of just the plot? Like not the acting. What did you think of the actual story?
I liked it. I really, really enjoyed it and how everything's tied in together and how they did tie in even the prequels to everything. So, like, it was a really good storyline, really good plot. I really liked it.
Yeah. I think that I really liked it, especially we kind of got into this, but it was just like a very simple.
Yeah.
And because you don't need it to be super complicated. If you've seen the fourth Alien movie, Alien Resurrection, where it was like, well, we cloned her and now she's like a superhuman alien hybrid, and no. We don't need that. You've created with H.R. Geiger, you've created this great monster. We just need this monster to be stuck in a maze with the rats, and it hunts the rats, and we are the rats. Okay, so that's pretty cool.
I don't know. Ron Perlman made the fourth movie, so he was good.
Yeah, he was hell yeah. But okay, so yeah, I think that the plot was done pretty well too. Like the idea of what they were trying to do was really good, and then we'll get into their execution here as we go on. But so let's move on to characters and acting then. And before we do that, please check out this message from our sponsors. I love my awesome Support the Troops Stormtrooper mug. Do you know where you can get a mug just like this one, but different? Bottega Krua. Bottega Krua is an Italian born and raised artisan trained at the Academy of Fine Arts in Venice, Italy. Since 2010, Bottega Krua has offered unique handmade and hand-painted ceramics, pottery, and other artistic products. You can find these products at her Etsy store by following the link down below. She also takes custom orders, but they may take longer to ship because she has to make them after you order them. So, go check out Bottega Krua to get yourself an awesome mug just like this one or the ones you've been seeing behind me as this ad has been going on. Remember guys, supporting our partners is supporting the pack, the Action Pack. All right, moving on to characters and acting. So I'm going to run through all of the characters and actors very quickly. So we typically do 5. There were 6 main ones that we needed to cover, so we do get one more today, but I'm just going to run through them real quick and then we'll talk about them. Okay, so Kaylee Spaney plays Rain. She's most well known for Civil War from earlier this year in 2024, and then she also played Priscilla Presley in the movie Priscilla in 2023. Then we have David Johnson, who plays Andy. He is most well known for Industry, which is a series from 2020 to 2022. And then Murder is Easy, which is another series, and he was in that in 2023. Then we have Archie Renault, Renaux. He plays Tyler, most well known for Morbius from 2022. I do not remember seeing him in Morbius, but that's what he's most well known for. Yep. And then he was also most recently in Upgraded in 2024. We have Isabella Merced or Merced. I'm not exactly sure. It's Merced. She plays Kay. Now, I'm going to tell you, for me, she's most well known for Madam Web.
Yeah.
But here it says that she's most well known for Transformers: The Last Night from 2017. I think she was the little girl, right? Yeah. And then Turtles All the Way Down was her most recent work earlier in 2024. Madam Web was such a big deal. They have to have avoided putting that on there because of how bad it turned out. But anyway, okay, so then we have Spike Fearn or Fern. It's Fearn. Yeah, and he plays Bjorn. and he's most well known for The Batman in 2022. Now, I will tell you, he is credited as playing the Vandal, just like one of the thugs that gets beaten up.
Yeah.
So that's that's his credit. But okay, so 2022, that's his most famous credit other than this. And then back to back, and earlier in 2024 is his most recent work. And then we have the last one here is Aileen Wu. She plays Navarro, and this is actually her first movie credit. She was in two shorts before that, but this is her first movie credit. So that's pretty cool. So is there anything that you have to say about the characters or the acting or anything just in general about any of them specifically or in general? So
in general, it was so from all the other Alien movies, it's kind of a older group. This one is a very, very young acting group. So that's about all I got to say about them.
Yeah, I will say that, so writing this, I mean, basically there's 3 characters, and really there's only really 2 characters. And we'll get into it. So, like, Rain is the main character, okay?
Yeah.
And she basically loves her, like, her big thing. She's almost a blank slate character. She loves her brother, Andy, and he's her brother because he's actually a synth. And she's a good person. And so you see her be a good person who loves her brother, and she wants to get to a better planet. And her parents died, and she has some trauma because of that, and she's been living out here on this mining planet alone since she was a little kid, or like a teenage kid. She's been alone, and now I think that she's an adult.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so she's like fighting for hope, but as far as what we actually like really see of her, that's like... she's a very good person, and she wants to take care of her brother. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have David Johnson, so the character Andy, who is the synth, and he's the most interesting character. So basically the reason his big function in the movie is that they needed him to open the doors of the derelict ship because he's a Weylan-Yutani synth, and then the Weylan-Yutani derelict ship. One thing that I will note about him that we haven't seen in the movies, I think there probably was some stuff in the comic book, because if you don't know, there's like a huge series of comic books surrounding Alien, Predator, and Alien versus Predator. Those are like 3 separate comics, and they all tie in together, and it's really great. But they may have been in the comics. I haven't seen it. I think that they mention it kind of in some of the video games, is that synths here are super strong. So in the first movie, you see the synth, he attacks one of them, and they're trying to beat him off of Ripley because he's trying to kill Ripley. And they're not really able to do it, but he's not like super strong. He's just kind of like a stronger man type of thing.
Yeah.
Here you see this guy do some super strong stuff.
Yeah.
Like Captain America, even stronger than Captain America probably, because that he holds a door. There's a scene where he grabs a door while it's closing. He's just with one hand. He's like, "Hey, hurry up, guys! This door is closing." He's holding it, And it's sorry, my hand's like this, and it was really cool. So I did like that. I liked his character. We get into some stuff that goes on with his character, and without spoiling it, I'll just say there's some interesting things that they actually do with him and his development and all of that. And those are really like the 2 characters. These other characters are supporting characters. So Tyler, he's kind of the leader of the group, and that's really it. Like, he's not the main character, but he's like the leader of this group of people. He kind of has the characteristics that you stereotypically see, where he's kind of on top of things. He stays focused. He tries to do good for everybody. So, that. And then we have Kay. She's pregnant, and that is her whole character for a large portion of the movie. She's not really doing anything. And but then in the beginning we get some stuff with her, and then in the end she gets some stuff, and it goes in an interesting direction with her, and we won't spoil it, but I'm telling you guys, it gets interesting. We'll just okay. And then we have Bjorn, and basically his big thing is that he loves his sister Kay, and there's some fear that happens, obviously, and he's kind of the guy that breaks down in a certain way and does some things that you're like, oh, yep, that guy is definitely the weak link in the group. And then Navarro, played by, like I said, Aileen Wu, has her first movie credit. She does really good.
She did good.
But,
she did really
yeah,
good.
she's the one that you see in the trailer where they go like this with the thing, like they scan this thing and she can see that. Yeah. So that's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. So she gets a pretty cool death. And then, other than that, she's the pilot of the ship. And like, you really don't get a huge amount of development with her. So our big two are Rain and Andy. And I'm okay with that. I would say that the development of the characters might be a little bit of a weakness of the movie. And, you know, I mean, in the first movie, the alien, you don't see the alien. Nothing happens with alien or anything. There is no alien for the first half of the movie. I mean, literally the first half. Okay? And you're watching these characters and they're just like doing their jobs as space truckers. Sigourney Weaver and stuff. And it's really great because of the acting and the character development. And then when it finally does happen with the alien, you're like, oh man, this sucks because they're all dying and all that. So I would say that while this movie is very much like the first movie, it's a little different because it's not exactly as character focused as much as it is maybe a little bit more action. Yeah. Definitely. It's kind of, I tell people it's like a mix between the first and the second movie. But in the second movie, the great thing that they did is they had all of these characters. Some of them were a little interesting, get little snippets, and then they all died. And then you're left with your main like three or four characters, you know. Yeah. So, other than that, though, I would say everybody acted very well. The acting was very good in the movie. So, I mean, any other thoughts, though, before we move on, then?
No. We're good.
Okay, I'll say this. We talked about this. I'll say it so that way we can. There's a cameo. And we're not going to spoil it, but there's a really cool cameo. And it's with a character that's been there and back again. I mean, it's just... And if you've seen the movie, I think you'll get that reference in what I just said. So this was... I really enjoyed it. Tommy Boy almost spoiled it for us earlier, but I kind of was like, let's not spoil it. But there's a really cool cameo, and it's very interesting. So, yeah. But okay, so then we can move on to the miscellaneous section. But before we do that, guys, check out this message from our sponsors.
Hi, it's Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is a military and veterans podcast and show about those who serve our country and those who have served and are doing amazing things.
You know what? Let's take more. And then they had that fantastic...
Managing those logistics and getting things where they need to be on time.
I mean, come on.
Want to learn more? Want to follow the show? Go to OscarMikeRadio.com or the link below. We're Oscar Mike, and we're mission in flight. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are back, and we are getting into the miscellaneous section of the review. So, any miscellaneous things that we haven't covered so far that you really want to point out here in the movie?
No, we've covered just about everything so far.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I thought that this movie was beautiful. They have, it almost is like Dune. So once they get into the spaceship, I mean, it's the interior of a spaceship, which is actually designed like the original movie's spaceship.
That's something I was wanting to mention. Like all the electronics and the visuals and everything was pretty well back to what we originated with. So I really did enjoy that visual of everything. I did love that.
Which is different from Prometheus and Alien.
Oh yeah, I know. Like everything seemed higher tech from the prequels. Like this shouldn't be right.
Well, and it's interesting. I told my wife when we watched, because we watched the original movie recently, and then we're up to the third, and I want her to see the fourth one before then seeing this movie. But I said to her, look at how this was in '79. Look at how the people in 1979 imagined the future would be. And it's like little tiny computer screens. They're like typing on typewriters almost, like these giant rooms with all these flashing lights. And really what the future is this right here.
Yeah, yep. Right there.
And yeah. And the Marvel movies did a really good job where they had the holographic stuff, and maybe I'm imagining like maybe in the future, like by 50 years, they're gonna be and people are gonna be watching and they're gonna be plugged into the Matrix, going, holograms was like 20 years ago. We're plugged into the Matrix already,
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I thought that the beautiful scenery, really cool that they had the technology. But I was going to say, before they go on once they get on the derelict spaceship, there's all of that. But then and also derelict spaceship, much like Alien Isolation. So that was I did like that. But much like, almost like the Dune movie, they have this beautiful scenery. It's so cool. Beautiful scenery. There is a lot of gore and body horror going on. Yeah, my kids are fighting behind me. I don't know what to tell you guys. There's gore and body horror, like even like we have not seen this in an Alien movie actually. And having the director having been from Evil Dead, I mean, you can definitely see him bringing this in there. We see a lot more, like I mean, if you get ripped apart by an alien, a lot of blood. They do some interesting stuff with the acid blood. That was cool. We do so part of I said the world building in the when we were talking about the story, but another thing that was cool is in the video games and in the comic book they get more into some details about what the aliens are and their life cycle and how they work. Here, though, for the first time in movie form, we see the alien actually growing to become an adult alien in a cocoon.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So I played a video game. I forget what I think it was called Alien versus Predator. Yeah, and it was just I can't remember what it was, but it was a top-down game. It was a real-time strategy where you could play as the Marines or the Predators or the aliens. But when you played as the alien, you had a queen, and it was top-down, and you were controlling units moving across and fighting. And you would see cool. So when you would actually have to drag bodies back to the queen or back to where your eggs are, and then the facehugger would come out, grab on, chest burster would come out, okay, and then you would see the alien. The chest burster like turn into like a cocoon and would come out and then it would burst out like that. So we've seen that like in the video games at least. I haven't read the comics. But yeah, kind of the world building of this is what the aliens are, and that was kind of cool. I did like that. I thought that was interesting. We already kind of talked about it. There's a connection to the original movies. There's like an interesting twist. I think there was some also just kind of aside from this specific twist that connects it, there were some great references to the original films. Okay? Yeah. I think that they redeemed the franchise in certain ways, especially as those films went on. There was some stuff that they started including in those films that is redeemed here, if that makes sense to you. A big thing at the end. We talked about it. We talked about it. So the big twist, without spoiling it, what did you think of that twist? Like, not just that it connects, but how the idea there.
I liked it. I liked that they were, I did like how they brought that in and how they're trying to get back to that process to start to, I liked it. It was pretty good.
I did like it, and that's what I was saying. So I'll say this. Look, it's not really a spoiler, okay? But I'll say this. It has to do with the black goo, okay? And that won't spoil it for you at all because you'll never guess what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. How they did this, but in the original, in Alien Covenant and Prometheus, the black goo is one thing, and then the black goo is kind of referenced here, and they do a completely different thing. And I was like, man, that is a really good. They should have done that in Alien Covenant and Prometheus. That should have been the thing, and so that was cool. I liked how they did that. Yeah. Okay. I have two last points. One thing is that there's this cool new weapon features. I guess that's kind of the world building as well. Basically, they have a rifle and they show you how it's like aim assist. So the coolest weapon.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So for me, you have the Jedi lightsaber. Okay. Just a cool weapon. Non-legendary weapons, not like where there's one weapon of this, not like Excalibur. Excalibur is a cool weapon too, or Thor's hammer, but just like a widely used weapon, iconic weapon is the lightsaber. And then the other one is the smart gun. I really think the smart gun is so cool from the original movies where you hold it like this, and then you have your little thing, and if you look at the target and see it, that smart gun goes and you just pull the trigger and kind of aim it in the general direction. I loved that. They have a rifle that is an aim assist, and it's like, man, somebody needs to invent this, because what it is you hold the rifle, and then the stock back here, it has like a spring-loaded thing, and if you see a target, you pull the trigger halfway, and it locks onto that target for you. And then when you pull the trigger all the way, it shoots. So that was pretty cool. I also want to say that in every movie we've seen so far, up to Alien, so in every movie we've seen so far, whenever they have fight scenes, whenever they have the alien killing people, anytime you get up close to the alien, it is a person in a suit.
Yeah.
Okay, even in Alien versus Predator, it was a guy in a suit. They use CGI, and then they use the guy in the suit. Here, the aliens are all CGI, and it was done really well, and you were able to see them do certain things that, like, they weren't limited in certain ways that they have been in the past, and that was really cool. So, I really liked that. That was awesome. Yeah. I mean, anything else you want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
No, we've had a lot of the good stuff.
Yeah, this is, yeah. So and notice I don't have any really bad miscellaneous points. So, yeah. Okay, so then let's move into, then we'll go into our final review score, guys. Hey, if you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna give you our final statement and review scores. Before we do that, check out this message from our sponsor.
My name is Stephen Russell. My co-writer, Joseph Miles Pittman, and I would like you to imagine a graphic narrative that disrupts the superhero genre's conventional boundaries. Tales of Nihilism unfolds a thought-provoking anthology with diverse story formats, from succinct comic strips to multi-saga issues. But at its core, the Ballad of Philip Kirshner explores existential challenges of an ordinary man in a world inundated with superheroes. The anthology challenges prevailing hero worship narratives, diving deep into societal introspection. We invite readers to confront uncomfortable truths about our culture's obsession with saviors and question the prevailing societal structures. The series is not just a comic, but an invitation to contemplate, challenging readers to reassess their perspectives on heroism and societal norms. It's an opportunity to offer audiences a fresh, introspective take on the superhero universe, sparking conversations, reflections on the human condition. You can find the series digitally on Global Comics, or follow the links below to get your own physical issue.
All right, guys, so moving into our final statement and review score, I do just want to give a quick refresher on how this works. So we have 5 tiers here. We have bad, below average, average, above average, and excellent. Now, excellent is like, Shawshank Redemption, Lord of the Rings. Bad is just, the Marvels, Madam Web. Yeah, anything coming out from Star Wars or the Marvel Cinematic Universe in recent years. Okay, and then we have a reverse scale. I don't think we're going to quite get there, but the reverse scale would be like it's so bad that it's excellent, which would be like The Room. I would say that that's an excellent movie. Robo Vampire.
Classic.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and that actually is a classic. Actually, after we watched, that was our first movie review together.
First one together.
After we watched that, movie, I started to realize that there's lots of references in video games and movies to that specific movie that I never realized. Like the jumping vampires that jump like this, they're in a lot of media. I didn't, Anyway, okay. Yeah, I love that. I love that movie. It's so bad it's good. Anyway, so I don't think that this movie's going to get there, though. But I will. Okay, so so that's our system. So this is Mike's After Action Reviews. We're gonna, and this is the After Action Review. So we're gonna do an AAR like the Army does, After Action Review. So, Tommy Boy, do you want to go first? Give me a couple of sustains, a couple improves, and then you're capping it off, your general statement of the movie, and a review score.
All right. So I'd like to start off. I mentioned earlier that this cast was a very young cast. So they were.
Is this a sustain?
Huh?
Is this a sustain?
This is. This could go either way. It's a sustain. Yeah,
okay,
they did.
Sustain.
They being a young cast, they did a good job on everything they needed to do, and like we said, this was the first time for one of them, and she did a phenomenal job in acting and showing everything, and like
her skills,
her skills. So good start for a new cast to start off on this path in this world. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do have another one. If they do go further with this group. Well, with at least two of them. But so I really enjoyed the technology that they had on this.
Sustain. Technology.
Yes, second sustain. Love the technology on it, that they stayed within the our old first two movies of this and had the same technology and everything. That was super cool. All grainy cameras and everything. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So it really gave you back into that alien feel back in the day.
Right.
I really enjoyed that. Improve. So I'd have to. I don't know if I could blame the director for this or anything, but I don't know. It felt like they were trying too much to prove the main character and making her like Ripley. They did a couple scenes wow, this was Ripley back in the day. What? Okay, but yeah, they were. I felt that they were just trying too hard to prove her and say that she's better than Ripley or something. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that. Okay. Then okay. Actually, that's gonna be my only improve. My other sustain was the final boss, you could say.
Yeah.
Was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that at all. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, yeah, another sustain. Freaking, I did really enjoy how they did bring back the goo and everything with it, and how they were trying to, get back to that. So yeah, overall, I'd give it above average.
Above average?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. Okay. Okay. Above average. Any final statement you want to make about the movie just in general, your big capping off here?
Not really.
No, okay. All right, so I will start with... No, that's okay. I'll start with sustains here then. So, for one thing, horror. First sustain is horror. So, later on in the series, the second movie was less horror and more thriller. Yeah. And then the third one was a ridiculous movie. The fourth one was a ridiculous movie. Alien vs. Predator was an action movie, and I liked that. I liked it. Alien vs. Predator Requiem was an action movie. This is, hey, all of that's fine, and whatever worked in the past movies, but this, we're going back to our roots, baby. This is a horror movie. So I liked that. I liked the original, and I liked how this was horror or thriller, depending on whatever part you're in the movie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah. I loved so my second sustain is better synths. You know?
Yeah.
I've always, ever since I played the video games where the synths are able to carry heavier weapons and carry heavier equipment, you know, like in the first movie, the second movie, you see Ripley on the loader and she fights the alien queen hand to hand. I'm waiting for a synth to come in and be like, and come up and grab an alien and like fight the alien, you know? And I'm like, now we see that the synths are basically super strong. Like they could do it, you know? I think that they could. They should be able to do it. I don't know how strong the aliens are compared to the synths or not, but it just seems like we can get this going. Like we got to do it, man. I mean, predators fight the aliens hand to hand. Why can't a synth? I don't know. So I liked, and just some of the improvements, greater strength, possibly faster running, just some different things. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, if you see the movie, you'll see that the synths are I think they're better. Okay, and then the third sustain is the world building. We get more about Weylan-Yutani. If you haven't played the video games, if you haven't read the comic books, you're not going to know so much about Weylan-Yutani, but you watch this movie and it gets more into that. It's not just, it's a big bad business and a company that kind of rules over some things and has all this authority or whatever. It actually explains just a little bit more. Not a whole lot, but a little bit more, and I did enjoy that. So then moving on to my improves. The pacing, while I think that the movie was very, you know, I thought it was good, and it did a very good job of emulating the first movie. The first movie, again, I will say, you get more than halfway through the movie, and there's no alien. Or at least an hour. I think you're an hour into the movie.
Yeah, at least.
When you watch the director's cut, which is what I watched recently, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. An hour in, and we still had not had the alien.
Yeah.
Okay. So this movie has, like, it was a very slow-paced movie. The original was. But the acting and the characters and the world building, and you're, like, seeing how everything works and all this advanced technology and whatever, makes it very interesting, and you don't get bored, and you don't feel like it's taking a long time to get through things. Here, the pacing is faster than the original, and I would have liked to see them try to be a little bit slower, like the original, if that makes sense. I think that they did okay. It's not that it's necessarily bad. It's just that if we could get a movie where you have some really interesting actors, some really interesting world building and stuff, and then the alien kind of crashes in to that world that's been established in the first half of the movie. I don't know. I think that kind of, some people may disagree with me about that, and I totally get that. That's just a little, I mean, I will say a little bit of grasping at straws here.
I was going to say you're reaching on that one, Yeah.
But I will, one thing that I for sure is, like, I think a solid improve that they could have done here is the character development.
Yeah.
One character, the synth character, has the most development and is so cool, and it's really good. And then our main character, Rain, was okay, you know?
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I was like, I didn't even remember their names until I did this. And they were okay, but it's just, I mean, there wasn't a great amount of development for them. I mean, even in the first one, that secondary character, there's some secondary characters that when they died or when they did certain things, you're like, man, that guy, that sucks that he died, you know, stuff like that. So my final statement review score, basically, this movie does a really good job of emulating the first one. I think it redeems some things from the franchise. Like, there was some things that happened that they did in the franchise so far that didn't really work. And I think, you know, like the black goo, I definitely think that it just didn't work and it wasn't interesting. And then they kind of tied it in here, but they did it in a more interesting way and did it a little better. There's some other things that I definitely am not even going to mention because I don't want to spoil at all. But it's been done before, and the first time that they did it, it was absolutely terrible. And here it was like, oh, this is what they should have done the first time. Just... And even the synths are kind of a redemption. They're kind of cooler. They're better. So a lot of redeeming factors here for some things in the franchise in the past. And yeah, I mean, definitely the horror, going back to horror roots was definitely fun. If they made a sequel and it was more of an action one, like they did the originals, like if they did like horror movie, action movie, totally would be cool and fine with that.
Yeah.
I just liked the fact that they went back to the roots here, and it was definitely an interesting thing. So my final review score then is going to be above average. The biggest things were, like I said, the character development and the pacing wasn't terrible, but it was just a little bit of a above average. I would say it's almost excellent. So if you came to me and go into the comments, let us know what you guys think. But if you say, hey, I thought the movie was excellent, I agree, kind of. I see where you are getting that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to say, objectively, I think it wasn't quite excellent, but it's like right there.
Yeah.
So above average for me. So listen, guys, anything else you want to say to anybody about the movie before we...
No, I think we hit it pretty well.
Yeah, go check it out, guys. So, so that's what we've got today, guys, though. We really want to thank you for watching. Like I said, support our sponsors. You can support us. I'm going to have a little bookend here that's going to tell you other ways you can support us, so do all that. We really appreciate. Subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. But, as our last thing here, I just want to say to you, God bless you all. Good luck at surviving the alien horde. and have a good day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord, where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my after-action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.